Okay, ready when you are. Okay, am I on? Okay. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, September 19th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
He's like a weapon.
Okay. Just a reminder that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded by HWCAM. Mr. Tracy, it looks like we don't have any citizens' comments here in the room.
None on Zoom.
Is there anyone on Zoom? No?
Nobody on Zoom. Just me.
Okay. All right, then we will go ahead and close citizens' comments.
Closing comments.
All right. Next up, we have a review of a portion of our school committee protocols. Jen, would you be willing to read that?
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. The school committee will establish a vision, create policy, approve a budget, and assure accountability to sustain continuous improvement in teaching, learning, and facilities. Members agree to leave the day-to-day operations, including business transactions, to the superintendent and staff. Members of the school committee recognize that authority rests only with the majority in its decisions.
Thank you. So next up, if you look at your agenda, it says a review of the school committee mission statement. Eric, would you mind putting that up on the?
Yep, coming up.
So I don't know if you all noticed, but we had been all through last year, we'd been reading portions of the mission statement at the beginning of every meeting. And then at the first meeting this year, I didn't do that. And the reason I didn't put it on at the beginning of this year was because you'll see this exhibit actually says 2024, 2025, but in reality, the mission statement that we had voted on was from last year. I guess what this quick conversation, I'm hoping it's a quick conversation, is twofold. One, do we, as a committee, are we interested in this, keeping this mission statement with just the updated years, is sort of the first question, and we can discuss that. And then my second question to you is, does the committee feel like there's value in keeping that as kind of part of the routine of the meeting, of keeping a portion of it at the beginning? So obviously the first question would be, I'm looking to the committee to have a quick conversation about whether we feel like this mission statement is something we'd like to continue to have for this year. I don't know if we want to start off with an actual motion, or do we want to just discuss? Jen?
Really, our mission statement is also incorporated, although not directly word for word, in the protocols.
So it's interesting, and I will just tell, it's interesting that the one that you just read is very interesting. I will say I go in order. It was purely coincidental. Like that was, but yes, I did notice that, and I thought about that a little bit
So,
today.
I mean, I like having the goals posted,
Yeah.
but I
we-
don't think it's necessary to read the same thing twice, but that's me.
Well, so that's it, kind of addressing the second question about reading it. But I guess first we need to talk about, do we want this to continue to be our mission statement? Because we adopted it, like in other words, the numbers, I think Janelle changed for the exhibit. That it used to say 23, 24.
Yep.
So she changed that. We didn't actually vote on that. So we would need to actually vote to re-adopt it, I guess. but I hear you about the second part about do we need to read it at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I'd keep it, but I wouldn't read it, but that's me.
Other thoughts?
I think we should keep it because it's an ongoing, it makes sense that it's ongoing. I do like that we read a piece of it every meeting just so that it stays in front of our minds while we're working, but I'm open to doing either. But yeah, I think we should just keep adopting it.
Thoughts, David?
I think I'd like to see it tabled and everybody who's got any suggested edits for it, send them to you, and then maybe the next meeting, see if there's a revision that makes sense.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, well, we would have to make a motion, but what I'm hearing you say is that you'd like to just bring this back at the next meeting after giving everyone an opportunity to,
Yeah, to reflect on it. I mean, for example, to me, a overarching mission is to engender a passion for learning, which is part of our core, I don't know where that is in the core values or whatever. But, so that would be something I would, but I think I'd just like time to reflect on it rather than just.
yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I actually think that's a good example, like if you're thinking about, like for you, inspiring a passion, so I don't want to misquote you, but a passion for learning,
Yeah.
like to take some time to look at this, and does any of that sort of feel to you like it meets that need or not, to take time. Well, I mean, I don't know what other people think. I'm certainly willing to do that. Everyone understands we can't do a shared document. People can't be making, it would have to be the kind of thing where everyone reviewed it, and then we came back at the next meeting to discuss. I think that's, I will just say, I do think that's fair. I didn't really give you a warning that that's really what I was going to say. So, okay. And just to let you know, the protocols, I'm just making myself a note here. The protocols, we do review annually, and it typically is in, I believe, November. And I don't know exactly how we originally got on that schedule, but it seems fine to do it annually in November, so that will happen naturally. All right, does anyone feel like they need to make a motion, or are we comfortable with just bringing this back?
Yeah, we can just bring it back. Also, I feel like it might be nicer to discuss it when everybody's here. More committee members are here, I don't know.
All right, I guess maybe, technically, I think maybe we should have a motion, because
Okay.
it was,
I would.
would you make that motion, David?
Sure. I move that the committee give consideration to possible revisions of the mission statement with a view to tabling them and tabling at the next meeting. Is that?
Second?
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Okay, and that is unanimous with the 4 members present, and the motion passes. And I will bring that back at the next, I'll send out an email just to remind everyone to review it, and then we'll take it up at the next meeting. Okay, thank you. And just to be aware, I guess, just be aware that I also will be asking about whether we want to keep it at the top of the agenda at the next meeting. Okay, next up, we have our student representative, Whitney Fitzgibbons.
Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about some of the events currently going on within the district. First at the high school, things are just getting started. Student government elections for the freshman class were this past Tuesday, so you all will likely see a new face here within the next few months. There was an Accord Food Pantry drive held from September 4th to September 12th, which was very successful. Curriculum night at the high school was last Wednesday. The fall musical, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, recently had auditions and is beginning rehearsals for their performances on November 8th. Student government, and then Science Club, Spanish Culture Club, Robotics, and Environmental Club are all set to have their first few meetings of the year throughout these next few weeks. Next, at the middle school, there are multiple intramural sports, volleyball, golf, cross country, and girls and boys basketball. There's also art club, student council, National Junior Honor Society, and chorale. Next, at Winthrop, they just had their ice cream social yesterday, and they have planned a Halloween happenings for October 25th. At Cutler School, they had an ice cream social on Monday of this past week and have planned a family movie night for October 18th. And lastly, at Bucher School, they had their curriculum night this past Tuesday, and they have a fun run planned for October 18th. Thank you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you very much. Sounds like it was been a busy start to school. Anyone have questions?
No.
Eric?
I don't have a question, but I do want to publicly thank Whitney for her opening day speech. She braved the entire staff and did a great job on the opening day of school doing a speech, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It was excellent.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you for doing that, Whitney. I've had to stand up in front of that, and it's intimidating, so I'm impressed that you did that. All right. Unless there's anything else, Whitney, you are, of course, invited to stay, but you are also absolutely welcome to head home and do whatever it is that you might need to do this evening. I'm guessing you might have homework.
Just a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they want to hold from the consent agenda? Okay. I don't know who's doing, Jen, are you doing our motions? Can you make a motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. There is no discussion. All those in favor? And that is unanimous, and the motion passes. All right, next up is the Ed Fund donation, and that's to you, Mr. Tracy.
Thank you. Some point last year, I think it was in the fall, we started having some conversations about naming rights and for donations for the field project that's underway. And it became really a big selling point to the community as an opportunity to reduce the cost of the taxpayers, and while also really making sure that we funded everything that needed to be funded. So this is the first of several MOUs that the committee will see. And as you know, the HWAFIC group, who is the volunteer nonprofit that has been really managing the donations and soliciting donations, trying to get kind of all the ducks in a row for us to help align funds and outside funding. And I think their final number was a little over $1.7 million. And this represents, this MOU is for the first piece of naming rights for the main athletic field. That would be the field that's encompassed by the track. And it would be, the donation is from the Ed Fund, and their request is to name that field the Ed Fund Field. Their donation for that naming right is $500,000. And this is a contract that was drawn up by our attorneys. We had just kind of added in the elements that we needed, like who donated, how much they donated, when they were going to do it, and we've gotten everything organized and set. And realistically, I'm asking the committee to accept the donation. And there's actually two things: to accept the donation and to accept the memo, the MOU, as accepting it to name the main field the Ed Fund Field.
Okay. So, a couple questions. So, so you would be, do you think it needs two separate, to accept the donation?
I would do them separately.
Okay,
So to
okay. So I guess what I would say is it, yeah, okay.
you could combine them.
No, I was going to say it makes sense to accept the donation first, because if you're not going to accept the donation, you can't But my question was sort of,
Oh, right.
my question was then, I think, because I'm thinking about moving forward, that there are going to be lots of these, so I want to make sure we do it in sort of a formulaic kind of way. And what I'm thinking about is, I wonder if, I'm looking to everyone, I'm really just thinking about, does it need to be all one thing? Because the donation was given with the understanding that they would be
It's tied to the
tied,
name.
they're tied
Yeah.
together.
Yep.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, if I was going to make a motion that encompassed both of these, I would say something like, I move that we accept the donation from the Ed Fund with the stated agreement in the MOU.
Yeah, I think the reference
As
to, I think the
presented.
reference to the MOU is critical, yeah, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
That makes sense. All right, so shall we start off with the motion?
Sure.
Just try to say that again.
I move that we accept the donation from the Ed Fund and accept the memorandum of agreement as presented.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumbura. All right, so discussion, questions?
So when did the field project, like, group that was taking care of donations get pulled into the Ed Fund?
Which is a separate donation, right?
Yeah, the Ed Fund actually originally was approached by the HWAFIC group. And at that time, nobody was ready to take that amount of a donation, including AFIC. They set it up, and we agreed with the Ed Fund to just wait until we got to the point of making the donation. And for them, it helped them to gain interest on the $500,000. So they held on to it in their accounts and continued to invest it for the last 10 months.
Okay.
So that was helpful, kind of for everybody, so.
Okay.
The other donations will come directly through the AFIC group, but the MOUs will be between the committee and the individual who made the donation.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I don't really have any other questions. It is a little hard to say Ed Fund Field, but it's an amazing gift.
It'll get shortened somehow.
It's an amazing gift.
Ed?
Ed.
Edfield.
Ed Field.
And what will happen is we would just, the scoreboard has an actual advertising
Yeah.
band at the bottom, and we just put Ed Fund Field on that.
That's great. That's quite a gift.
So, David, I do have something to say, but I want to make sure you get a chance if you have something to say.
Oh, on the Ed Fund thing?
Huh?
To comment on the Ed Fund?
If you have any comment on this.
No,
No.
it seems like for $500,000, they can have the name.
Yeah, no, and so I guess I want to bring something up, which I have no concerns about this. I think the Ed Fund is a fantastic part of our community, and I'm thrilled that they've made this donation, and I'm totally comfortable with it being the Ed Fund Field, 100%. I am going to say something, though, that may throw a little monkey wrench into this. For the future, I'm really reviewing our naming facilities policy here. And I'm sorry to say that I'm just I have looked at it before, but I'm just thinking about it now. At the bottom of the policy, it does say, the school committee chair will specify a consideration period that allows for public comment. Following the committee, we'll vote on the name.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So, I have to admit that in my own mind, I always thought, well, it's on the agenda, citizens could have come and commented today. And that, I guess what what I wanted to say is that in the future, it is possible that a naming MOU could come forward that might be more, the public might have thoughts about. And so I just want to make sure we are really thoughtful about making sure.
Like what that process is, yeah.
About the process. Like, this was a good one, I think. I don't want to speak for the group. I'm guessing this one is not super controversial. But I don't know, does anyone have thoughts on that? I feel like I'm not
The-
really
the-
articulating what I'm.
I understand what you're saying.
Mm.
I guess it's kind of an unusual process, right? Like, we don't really have anything that we, other than posting an agenda, we don't really have anything that we say,
Right.
like, we're gonna be talking about this, let us know your thoughts, so.
Well,
Um,
Eric could put it in his weekly newsletter,
Oh, yeah.
looking for feedback or comments or something like that. That would be not an unreasonable thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's, I guess like, I feel like we met this policy technically.
Yeah, to the letter, but not the spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I feel like we did, like, it's
Yeah.
posted, there's a public comment, people could have come,
Sure.
like, but I do want, I want, moving forward, I do want to be really open with the public so that they could have an opportunity to come and speak if they wanted. So,
The fail-safe is the paragraph in the middle here. This is one of the conversations I had with our attorney.
this is on the,
This
On the
is on the
MOU.
MOU.
Yep.
Reserves the right to rescind naming rights or recognitions of, in the unlikely event that the benefactor's honoree reputation changes substantially.
yeah,
You know, in this case, like you said, it's a little more bulletproof than if somebody brings a particular name forward, we really have to take the time to vet it.
right. And again, our policy also reiterates that we have the right to rename something. So like, we have all of that. I just want to be, and my apologies to Eric for not bringing that up
No, no worries.
prior when we were making this agenda, that I just want to be, moving forward, we're going to do several of these, and I want to make sure we have a really solid procedure. So, anyway, does anyone have any other thoughts?
Well, interestingly, in the policy, it says, when the school committee will be considering whether to name or dedicate a new school or school-related property, structure, or facility, it will establish an orderly procedure for making a decision
Doing it right
whether
now.
to name the school, property, structure, or facility. So I read that as we can make up what the procedure is, but it's not necessarily written.
Yes,
Yet.
correct, right. And then I think that's all I'm trying to say, is I really would like to make sure that we're doing the same procedure for all of them so
Yeah.
that it's fair okay. So that all being said, I think we do have a motion on the table. I feel like we did meet the policy to the, so I guess I wanted feedback or comments on whether people feel like we want to vote on this evening.
Well, is there timing urgency on this because of some mechanics of signage or anything like that, or
My
can
only
wait?
wonder is that, and Eric, you'll know, is that I do know we did want to do more of these.
Correct, yeah.
So I don't know, in other words, does this timing, if we weren't to decide tonight, does that push it back?
No, we would do it 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, could you put it in your newsletter
And
tomorrow?
yeah, we could put it in the newsletter, the donations made. You know, if you have issues or comments, reach out to me,
right.
and then we can just say we'll finalize the vote on, I forget the date off the
Yeah.
top of my head, but the next meeting.
Right.
It's much
Yeah, we
more
could do
visible
something like
way.
that.
People could email the school committee too, right?
I mean, who's
Yeah.
going to object to it? I mean, but anyway, but nevertheless.
And that was sort of my point,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that, like, this one doesn't feel, but again, when one wants to create a policy for everything,
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, we have a motion on the table.
Maybe amend the motion to say that we move to, well, I don't know the
You
rest
could-
of the
you
motion.
could- One could move
You
to
might want to
table.
move your mic, because
A little closer. Yeah, sorry. So the amendment would be something along the lines of that we move to table this till the next meetings, so, and that in the meantime, Eric, the superintendent, is to post the proposal within his newsletter this week.
Second? Sorry.
Yeah. And
Second by
there's a
Adrian.
second one coming between now and then, so I probably put them both on there,
Okay.
on the newsletter, so.
And
I
that
don't
should
think
be
that
a
was the
process.
most elegant motion,
I think
but nevertheless practical.
we'll get it figured out. No, I think that
Okay.
was, okay, all right, so there's a motion to table with in the interim that Eric will provide the public with some
Yep.
notice.
Yep.
Does anyone have discussion on that?
I have a question related about policy.
Okay.
Do we want to update this policy to be more specific about that process? Or is this specifically just for the athletic field?
Well, I have an
It c-
opinion, I have an
it-
opinion, so, but other people can say.
Yeah, I mean, you could name something in the building, or a stone, or a,
And would we want to do this same process for that sort of thing, or is this a special case?
I guess I'm going to jump in. My personal feeling is that I like the policy being not super specific.
same.
Because it would allow, like, if we were to change the policy to say that it has to be in the superintendent's newsletter, and 3 years from now, the superintendent no longer has a newsletter, but instead has a whatever weekly interpretive dance.
Oh, that's a good idea.
okay.
Second.
Probably don't want to see that.
Okay,
That's my thought.
okay. Sorry, that was a little
No.
bit of a
No, that's fine.
side.
All right, so the motion on the table, though, is to table. Does anyone have any discussion on that?
And that doesn't mess up any
Nope.
timing, okay.
No, no, no.
And
I just started, I wanted to start these rolling.
Right.
There may only be 3, because some people are
Yeah.
willing to just say, I'm just donating, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there a way, I mean, I don't want to speak for the group, so I'm only speaking for myself, but I will say, I did not hear anyone concerned about this particular donation. I heard concerns
Oh.
about process and
Yep.
procedure. If
Yep.
we could convey that if anyone were to ask at the Ed Fund. This
Absolutely.
was,
I'll reach out to them tomorrow and just
This
explain
was,
it.
My only question is, how
We voted
busy are the next meetings? Because we've tabled 2 things now.
I know.
Well, they get busier as
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all these things done through October, because as you know, November we'll start the budget process, and
Yeah, so I was,
And I appreciate that, and I will,
I think we'll be okay. I just need to figure out how to manage the AFIC donation on top of like who's connected to some of it, because they're holding a fairly substantial chunk of money that they would basically wire to us, but there are individual donations in there that have naming rights, so I have to sort that out too.
yeah.
So-
And, I mean, my hope is that, I think this, I hear you, and I agree with you, and I have that anxiety.
that's my only concern.
At the same
Budget's
time, I
coming up.
actually feel like both of these were really thoughtful conversations.
Yeah.
And I think there are reasons. And we haven't voted yet, so. All right, so, do you want to have more to say about the tabling? Because you could. We haven't voted on tabling yet.
Have we made the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. I mean, I think we've followed the letter of the law, at least for this one, which is not controversial. I would just vote on it and move forward, just so we don't get a backlog of things.
Any other further discussion?
No.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to table. All those in favor of tabling?
Me too.
That is 3 in favor, those opposed, 1, and the motion passes 3 to 1. Okay. And that'll be on the next agenda, possibly with another donation as well. Next up is the MASC delegate. It's really a question, I am not attending the MASC conference this year. I've attended in the past. Are you planning on attending, David?
I would like to, but there's issues at home
Yeah.
related to it
okay.
that may get in the way, because it looks very interesting.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it in the past. It just doesn't work with my schedule this year. Is anyone else planning on attending?
I can't, I work on Fridays.
So, I guess, I know, and as far as I know, the only person that had shared with me that they were interested in attending was David Frankel.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say interested,
I mean, that-
available to attend.
My circumstance may change, but I
So I guess we do, and I don't, we do need to appoint a delegate. If, so at the conference, there are all these resolutions that the MASC puts forward, and it's like it's kind of like a giant school committee meeting. You go, and each district, if you send a representative, if you send a delegate, then you get to vote. And there are all these policy positions, you can look them up right now, they're resolutions, you can look them up. And you do have to tell them in advance. So I guess my thought is, if there's any chance that someone is going, we should appoint a delegate.
I see, okay.
Because there's certainly no penalty for not showing up, but if you don't appoint a delegate, then you can't vote.
Right.
So, given that, does anyone have any nominations for the delegate?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Eric, are you planning on going?
Technically, I'm not sure. It's going to depend on the budget process.
Okay.
And Eric could not.
I can't.
And that was my
yeah, I
second
can't-
question.
I can't
Can
vote.
he
It has
act
to
as
be
a
school
delegate?
committee member.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question.
So, I guess I would, we can, my thoughts are this. If there's a chance that David is going to go, we might want to
Yeah.
consider nominating him to be the delegate.
Yeah.
And then at a separate meeting, if you are going, we will do what we've done in the past, which is to review the resolutions and discuss them.
Right,
If you're not going anyway, then there won't be really much point in us doing that.
right. Yeah, I don't mind you doing that.
Again, there's no harm in not, like, I think I made it clear. We have to say ahead of time who the delegate is.
Yeah.
So
What's the venue for it, by the way? I didn't look carefully where it,
It's on the Cape,
okay.
and it's, I can't remember the name of the place,
It's a
but
hotel, right?
it's a hotel, but it's a conference center.
Seaside, is it
Sea- I don't know.
Seacrest?
It had a different name, like it
Seacrest?
changed names in the 3 years that I've gone. It was
Really?
called it was all the same place, but.
Used to be the
different name.
Seacrest, but
Um,
I went years
Yeah.
ago.
So,
You know, I'll look that up.
okay,
Because I did get a flyer today or something, very recently.
what'd you say?
I did get a,
Yeah, and you can go on the
Wow.
website, and you probably did get a flyer
Yep.
recently about it,
Yep.
yes, in the
Yep.
mail. So you're not registered already?
no.
No, okay. Okay. Does anyone have a nomination for a potential delegate?
I nominate David Frankel to be a delegate at the MASC conference this fall.
David, do we have a second?
Second?
Second.
Oh.
David, do you accept that? Would you accept that nomination?
Yes, I will, thank you.
All right, is there discussion? All right, all those in favor? That is 4 in favor. And I will submit the paperwork, just naming you as our delegate.
And that is at the Emerald Resort in Hyannis.
Oh, I would never have come up with that.
Oh, what is it, the
So on the
Admiral?
Vineyard?
Emerald,
Oh, Emerald
No,
Resort.
In
no, no,
Hyannis.
no.
Is it Hyannis?
Mm-mm, It's on the
Oh, no,
Cape.
the Cape.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next up, finance and operations,
no.
nothing. Committee reports, capital,
Capital Finance has a meeting this upcoming Monday
okay.
at
2:30.
2:30.
All right. Remind me who's on capital?
Me, Trent, and Julia.
Okay. Policy,
We met on Monday
oh,
and we chose roles.
okay.
Julia is the chair. I am the secretary. Made some progress on like a one-pager for
Okay.
voting rules. and we're meeting again on October 21st.
Great, all right, so, yep,
I'm sorry, and we had a question for the full committee,
okay.
which was how often are we supposed to do a full review of the entire alphabet?
I do not know the answer to that committee question. Does anybody else on the committee know? I would say that you should contact Alicia
Okay.
and ask her that. I believe, though, it's not soon. But I think it's a great question to ask.
Yeah, okay.
But I
Great.
think we're in okay shape.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing what you all come up with on that one pager.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Negotiations, our most recent meeting, which was supposed to be on Monday, was canceled. There was an illness on the association side, and they needed to cancel the meeting. And we are in the process of getting the next meeting scheduled. And, yeah, that's it. We do not have a secretary report, because we don't have our secretary here this evening. Superintendent's report, Eric?
Yep, just reporting out really quickly about finally being in the classroom. This week I was able to get into the classrooms in every school, and great to see everybody up and running. It's been fascinating to watch the kind of ramping up of the new math program, Eureka Math, and really actually participating. Several teachers invited us to participate in their classes to learn and understand about it. And the approach is much more of a, you don't only have to find the answer, you really have to explain how you got to the answer and explain the process along the way. So far so good, lots of good feedback from the teachers. It's also great to just be in the classrooms and see the different things that our teachers have put together for our kids. One of the groups I watched was, looking at pond water under microscopes, and imagine what they saw. It was not pretty, but just good opportunities like that to get kids engaged and excited about school. So I'm excited to finally be back in the classrooms and having a good opportunity to see how things are progressing. Also, over the last 2 weeks, we've been able to go to the open houses at each of the schools. I didn't get to all of them. I had my own kids' open house to go to, but the open house has been really well attended, as reported by everybody. We were also able to bring our architectural team and our OPM team there to give out flyers, and thank you for the committee members that jumped in to help out too. And got a lot of good information. We gave out 600 flyers with the most up-to-date information and the QR code so that they can get to the website. We met with a lot of great people, answered tons of questions, and we look forward to setting up our next public forum, which we believe is going to be November 6th. We're just trying to make sure that there's nothing else in the way with the towns.
I'm sorry, November 6th?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's it.
Questions?
No.
Okay. I don't have much on the chair's report. I did get to go to a couple of the open houses. Stunning how many people were there. It was really great to see. A lot of fun. Got to stand next to the Friends of the Arts table both nights, which was fun to hang out with them. That was cool. I did, just from the committee, I had put out a scheduling email to everybody regarding if anyone's available on this coming Saturday to help out at the League of Women Voters table.
Did you get any takers?
No.
Okay, because I can move what I was doing, so I can help.
I'm happy to be there. I don't know, Eric, we're gonna have the same visuals that we had at the open houses, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, I have it set.
Yep.
It's at central
Okay,
office.
and
Yes.
I feel good about, having been at the open house, I feel good about knowing the drill.
Yeah.
We'll have that. Okay,
And we'll have some flyers ready too.
okay, great. All right, and maybe, well, we'll think about it, what else we want to bring, whether we want to bring flyers maybe with our goals or something. I think that's what we did last time. We had
Yes.
some goals.
Yeah,
And,
chat with you about timing.
okay, it's time, yeah, no, we can work out the timing, it doesn't have to be, and if anybody else has time, I think it's 10 to 1, be great. All right, does anybody have anything, topics for future meetings?
I'm a bit confused. I think I ended up with 3 different versions of the agenda for today.
Oh, really?
This one says 8:05, we're going to adjourn for an executive session. Is that still,
Yeah, we're going to get to an executive
Okay.
session, yep.
but the other ones didn't? No, that one did.
Yeah, they all.
Sorry. Anyway,
Well, the one,
I just want to make sure I'm on the right.
yeah, no, you're correct, yes, we're gonna just, yes, we will do that at the end. All right, looks like nobody has anything. Okay, so I am gonna do exactly that now. I move to adjourn into executive session for purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and not to return to open session.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr, and it is a roll call vote. David,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and Dana's a yes, and we are adjourned into executive session.
But this letter that we